Welcome back, webheads. It's time to talk about everyone's favourite friendly neighbourhood, Spider-Man. Yes, the quintessential everyman hero who has long captivated audiences with his blend of relatable struggles, witty banter, and heroic triumphs. Yet, in recent years, the flagship title, The Amazing Spider-Man, has become a symbol of frustration for fans, mired in repetitive storytelling, character regressions, and editorial mandates that prioritise a stagnant status quo over innovation. So, let's untangle the web of where we are, what got us here, and where we can expect to be in the future. Now, before that happens, at the end of the video, if you do like it, give it a little like. And also, if you can hit subscribe, I will be eternally thankful. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. You guys have got me there. I appreciate all your help so far. And I thank you in advance for the support in the future. So let's talk about the amazing Spider-Man. Now, he is a cornerstone of not only Marvel's expansive universe, but of the superhero genre itself. However, in recent years, the book has faced significant criticism for its narrative direction. In this video, I'm going to dissect the shortcomings of the runs penned by Zeb Wells and Joe Kelly, analyse the fan backlash, scrutinise the editorial oversight led by senior editor Nick Lowe, and propose actionable solutions to revitalise this iconic title. I'm going to draw on historical context, specific narrative missteps, documented fan reactions, and creator interactions to provide a rigorous and, of course, authoritative perspective on ASM's challenges and potential redemption. So, to understand the current state of the Amazing Spider-Man, we must first consider its historical trajectory. Since its inception in 1962 by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, ASM has been defined by Peter Parker's duality as a relatable everyman and a heroic web slinger. Early issues such as ASM 1 from 1963 established a delicate balance of personal struggles and superhuman feats, cementing Spider-Man's cultural significance. However, a pivotal moment in 2007, the One More Day storyline, fundamentally altered the character's trajectory. In this arc, Peter traded his marriage to Mary Jane Watson to the demonic Mephisto to save Aunt May, a decision driven by then editor-in-chief Joe Quesada's belief that a married Spider-Man was unrelatable to younger audiences. This editorial mandate, rooted in a 2007 Spider-Man manifesto by executive editor Tom Brevoort, prioritised a perpetually youthful single Peter, sparking enduring fan discontent. Subsequent runs, such as Dan Slott's tenure, delivered innovative arcs like Superior Spider-Man, but were marred by frequent relaunches and event-driven disruptions. Nick Spencer's run hinted at restoring the marriage, but was constrained by editorial directives, setting a precedent for creative stifling. This historical pattern of resetting progress to maintain a static status quo has profoundly influenced the runs of Wells and Kelly, exacerbating fan disillusionment. In contrast, Jonathan Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man, which concludes unfortunately this December, featured a married, mature Peter with a family, and that has garnered critical acclaim and robust sales, underscoring the viability of an evolved Spider-Man. Zeb Wells' tenure on The Amazing Spider-Man was heralded as a return to foundational storytelling, but ultimately became one of the most polarising eras in the title's history. Wells, previously lauded for his work on Hellions and X-Force, aimed for a high-drama, soap opera-style narrative. However, the execution faltered, resulting in widespread criticism. So, he started his run with Peter Parker isolated following an unexpected off-panel incident that estranged him from his friends and family, echoing the post-OMD regression, but without a path to redemption. Peter was portrayed as a perpetual failure, unemployed, emotionally stunted, and bereft of agency, contrasting sharply with his resilient characterization in classics like Kraven's Last Hunt from 1987. Critics argue this reduces Peter to a caricature of his earlier, less mature self, undermining decades of development. The treatment of female characters drew significant ire. With accusations of misogyny, Mary Jane Watson, a cornerstone of Spider-Man's narrative, is relegated to a supporting role, paired with the widely despised interdimensional character pool in a storyline that sees her adopt children and distance herself from Peter. This arc, seen as a betrayal of MJ's established strength, for example, think back to Parallel Lives from 1989, was labelled character assassination by fans. Similarly, Black Cat and others are marginalised or victimised, reinforcing perceptions of gendered insensitivity. The most egregious example is the death of Miss Marvel Kamala Khan in ASM 26 from May 2023, a fridging incident designed to fuel Peter's anguish, which sparked accusations of exploiting a beloved minority character. Wells' run leaned heavily on shock-driven plots and editorial mandated crossovers like Dark Web and Gang War, which disrupted narrative cohesion. New villains such as demonic Rec Rap failed to resonate, with humour feeling forced and dialogue awkward. The run concluded in an anticlimactic issue 60 with unresolved plot lines leaving readers dissatisfied. Despite some strong artwork from John Romita Jr. and Ed McGuinness, the writing suffered from uneven pacing and a mean-spirited tone. Well-stated goal of crafting a quick read with chaotic drama prioritised spectacle over substance, resulting in a narrative that felt directionless. These issues were compounded by editorial constraints, reportedly limiting Wells' creative freedom to align with the single mid-20s mandate. Fan reactions were not good, with Reddit threads and Quora posts labelling the run worthless and misogynistic, and ex-users decrying it as ruining Spider-Man. Calls for boycotts proliferated, with sentiments like "don't read ASM, don't even talk about it," reflecting deep disillusionment. Harassment, including death threats, prompted Wells to restrict his X account, though some fans defended him, attributing flaws to editorial oversight. Now, Joe Kelly's relaunch in April 2025 aimed to restore Spider-Man's core appeal following Wells' divisive tenure. With issues up to number 16 already solicited, Kelly, known for his work on Deadpool and Action Comics, delivered moments of promise, but struggled to escape the shadow of editorial constraints. The run begins with Peter unemployed but optimistic, navigating new job prospects and battles against villains like Rhino, Hobgoblin, and the new Hellgate. While early issues were praised for their emotional depth, particularly flashbacks to Uncle Ben and Aunt May emphasising Peter's intellect, the narrative quickly reverted to familiar tropes of financial instability and romantic ambiguity. Issue 6 reintroduced Peter's neighbourhood connections, earning praise as a fantastic transition, but subsequent arcs faltered. The introduction of a splitting plotline in the upcoming 7 issue 8, dividing Spider-Man into cosmic and earthbound versions, was described not very well, let's just put it. But it has been criticised as a gimmick lacking lasting impacts. New villains like Hellgate and the Spider Slayer, soon to be seen in 15 and 16, show potential, but the plots drag, reminding readers of earlier stories without significant evolution. Now, despite Kelly's knack for witty dialogue in other books, Peter remains trapped in a cycle of arrested development. The absence of marriage restoration or meaningful progression in relationships, such as with Black Cat, disappointed fans hoping for a mature Spider-Man. Critics describe the run as safe and mediocre, failing to capitalise on Kelly's prior successes. While artist Pepe Larraz delivered a visually striking sequences and pages and panels, the script is uneven, with later issues 5 to 8, criticised for corny dialogue, and it is corny, and shallow arcs. The run is seen as a palate cleanser, but lacks the ambition to redefine the Amazing Spider-Man. Fan reactions are mixed. Early praise for heart and humour gave way to critiques of uninspired storytelling. X-post Lord Kelly's portrayal of Peter as a thinking fighter, but Reddit notes it's fine to good, but not amazing. Now, sales have rebounded, but lingering boycotts from Wells' era reflect ongoing scepticism. Now, central to ASM's challenges, and I'm sorry to say, is the editorial direction under senior editor Nick Lowe, whose adherence to the single mid-20s mandate has stifled creative evolution. Lowe has dismissed fan calls for change, notably in ASM 57, where he labelled a request to retcon OMD as bold and unrepresentative of broader readership, asserting Spider-Man must remain universally relatable across generations. This starts in lines with Brevoort's manifesto, which critics argue is outdated given the success of mature Spider-Man narratives elsewhere. Now, Lowe's interactions with fans have exacerbated tensions. At the New York Comic Con in 2024, during the Spider-Man and his venomous friends panel, Lowe responded defensively to a question about Kamala Khan's death, dismissing the premise and engaging in a tense exchange that left attendees frustrated. On X, Lowe has blocked critics and ignored constructive feedback, with fans accusing him of trolling via dismissive responses. A particularly inflammatory X post from this month was "Your ideas are shit," reflecting the depth of animosity. And on YouTube, you can find plenty of videos about Nick Lowe battling with Spider-Man. Now, you can definitely feel the hostility towards the fan base, and this is not good. Now, Zeb Wells' interactions were less confrontational but equally contentious. In a 2023 Popverse interview, Wells revealed Lowe advised him to avoid conventions post-ASM 26 due to anticipated backlash over Kamala's death, indicating Editorial were fully aware of fan discontent. Wells limited engagement, locking his ex account amid harassment, and drew accusations of aloofness, though he quipped in interviews about ruining the book, but likely in jest. However, at this point, I think he meant it. A 2023 podcast appearance discussed on Reddit also saw Wells dismiss critics as misguided, further alienating fans who felt their concerns were trivialised. However, one thing to make very clear in this, no matter how much fans disagree, it is no justification for the harassment, abuse and death threats both Zeb Wells and Nick Lowe received. And criticism, including this video, is not an invitation or instigation to take part in that type of negative action. Now, just ask yourself, what would Peter Parker do? Exactly. Now let's get back to it. The struggles of ASM reflect broader challenges within the comic book industry where legacy titles grapple with balancing tradition and innovation. Successful adaptations such as Insomniac's Marvel's Spider-Man and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse demonstrate that a mature, multifaceted Peter Parker resonates with audience. In contrast, ASM's insistence on this, lack of movement risks alienating its core readership. Sales data indicate that while ASM remains a top performer, declines in readership and ongoing boycotts signal potential long-term erosion. The addition of Wells' run to digital platforms like Webtoons has drawn new audiences, but also fresh criticism, highlighting the global reach of Spider-Man's fan base and the stakes of narrative missteps. So, to restore the Amazing Spider-Man to its former glory, Marvel must implement structural and creative reforms. Maybe allow Peter Parker to age into his 30s. Maybe restore his marriage to MJ and use that as a central narrative pillar, as supported by fan petitions with thousands of signatures. This could involve exploring adult themes such as family dynamics or mentoring younger heroes like Miles Morales, mirroring the success of Ultimate Spider-Man. Replace or supplement current editorial leadership. I'm sorry, this includes Nick Lowe, with individuals responsive to fan feedback. Dismantle restrictive mandates, allowing writers creative autonomy to innovate without fear of resets. Now, reduce the reliance on crossovers and focus on standalone arcs with meaningful stakes and resolutions, and rebuild the supporting cast, ensuring characters like MJ and Black Cat are treated with depth and agency. One of the most important things is establish formal channels for fan input, such as online polls or AMAs, to rebuild that trust. Editorial responses should address criticism transparently, avoiding dismissive or antagonistic rhetoric. So, all they have to do is recruit new writers and new artists with proven affinity for Spider-Man, but with fresh perspectives, ensuring a balance of legacy, respect and innovation, and avoid these yes men beholden to editorial dictates. Now, The Amazing Spider-Man stands at a crossroads. The creative missteps of Zeb Wells and Joe Kelly's run, compounded by editorial interference, have strained the relationship between Marvel and its fan base. Yet, Spider-Man's enduring appeal, rooted in his resilience and humanity, offers hope for renewal. By embracing evolution, engaging fans, and prioritizing narrative integrity, Marvel can honor the maxim of, with great power comes great responsibility. Now, let's hope the next chapter allows Peter Parker to swing forward, untangled from the constraints of the past. I'd also like to state that this video is an open invitation to Nick Lowe to join me on the channel for an interview where we can hear his side of the story, as I'm sure there is plenty of nuance to his decisions. And I think it's only fair he has the chance to voice his own. So Nick, if by some small chance you see the video, drop me a line and let's talk. I'd love to talk Spider-Man with you. So there we go. On a personal note, Spider-Man has been, since I could read, my favourite superhero. And all I want is a book that I look forward to every single month with great stories and great characters. And that's it. So those are my thoughts. Let me know yours. Do you like the runs from Zeb Wells and Joe Kelly? Do you think Nick Lowe is Mephisto in disguise? I'm happy to listen and talk about this because I love Spider-Man and I know you do too. So until next time, like the video and of course, please hit that subscribe button. I'd really, really appreciate it. Take care now.